Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Matthew, this is Watty's channel. Back in the game room for a third episode today. I've been feeling a little excited to get this tournament rolling, so instead of stopping at 2 videos, I decided to come back down for a third one, and this will actually knock out the end of round 1. So currently there are 11 figures remaining. So I can either... See, here's the tough part, because I could do regular 1-on-1 for 5 matchups and just have one kind of just move on automatically to round 2, but I don't want to do that. I could try to find another figure to add as like a guest appearance, but again, I don't want to do that either. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a 5th match. The 5th match, I'm going to have a 1-on-1-on-1, but as opposed to previous tournaments where I eliminate 2 figures, I'm going to keep 2 figures. So you know, that just gives an opportunity for another figure to progress further in the tournament. And because I expect this video to be a lot longer than some of the others, I'm going to not talk too much at the beginning. I'm going to dive right into selections of the names and see who the battle will be. Who will be battling each other. Alright, so first matchup is going to feature Backin. Backin as he does battle against Ax. And then Brother Love is going to do battle against Roode. Okay, Sid Vicious. Sid Vicious is going to square off against Sting. Mascus is going to square off against Dino Bravo. And then the last three men standing is going to feature Tully Blanchard, Animal of Legion of Doom, and Macho Man. So, just kind of looking at that, I have a feeling of the 2 figures I'm going to choose to move forward. And it's kind of interesting because I really didn't think that one figure would make it out of the first round. So, that's where a luck of the draw like this really comes into play. Alright guys, so I'm going to write these names down, pull the figures, and we will begin shortly. Alright everybody, so I do have the figures pulled, and we are going to have 5 matches once again, with the 5th match being a 3-man matchup. 2 of them will proceed to the next round. So, first matchup was going to feature Backin as he squares off against Demolition Ax. To me, there are certain figures, certain matches that we've had so far in this tournament that were like absolute no-brainers. Matches that I felt like I kind of wasting your guys' time talking about it because we all know where it's going. This is a matchup I want to start with Backin. So I didn't know about Backin as a kid, you know, in his earlier days, obviously. Later on, when I did get introduced to Backin, he was like probably in like his 40s or whatnot, and he was an adequate wrestler. I mean, you know, nothing super flashy, but, you know, he held his own, especially for an older guy. And, you know, I kind of remember him being in the Royal Rumble and kind of being in there for almost an hour. And I always thought that was, like, crazy impressive. You know, man gets his title run, and then he gets beat by, like, Diesel in, like, 2 seconds flat. And I'm like, how humiliating for, like, one of the wrestling's most prestigious champions throughout history. I mean, he had like what was it, like a 7-year run as heavyweight champion in like the 70s, 80s. So by no stretch of the imagination was Backin a, you know, just a throw-by guy. You know, he was a significant character in the wrestling world. And what I remember him, I think I remember him more as a bad guy than good guy. Once he became psychotic and became, I refer to him as Mr. Chicken Wing and whatnot. God, I kind of like remember him like putting like, who was it, like Bret Hart or somebody in like a chicken wing and not letting go and like holding that for like a long time. Obviously, I don't have the best memories from childhood. Like there are certain things that I can like that kind of pop in my head, but like the events that are actually occurred during it, I don't have that memory, and it sucks. I have to really go to get on YouTube or something and watch that, because that some of that stuff was remarkable. When I look at the head of Bob Backlund, I kind of think of Bob Backlund as manager. And I think if they put him in like that little gray, goofy, dress suit or something, I think this could have been a much better figure. Because there are just so many things wrong with the Bob Backlund XOX Customs figure that there's just not enough time to list them. So I'll obviously knock on the big discrepancies that I really hate about this figure. It all starts with the head. The head looks weird. The face, obviously, it looks odd. I don't really like the hair color. I think it's just way too brown, like a woody brown and whatnot. The rubber is atrocious. This is like one of the worst rubber pieces you could imagine. And what sucks is, because he's a very simple figure where he's just straight blue throughout, the rubber really pops out. One of the reasons I never really put this guy at the very bottom among worst Ram Treasures figures is because he has like this B. Brian Blair fighting pose. And that pose is a lot better than a lot of figures that they do make. And when I talk about the cheapness of the figure, already you're starting to see, breakage right there on the arm. It's a cheap, pathetic excuse of rubber. When I've talked about it in the previous video, Ram Treasures video, when I mentioned that I was so excited to get this figure in. But just like really looking at it and appreciating what it is and appreciating what it's not. This, I still stand by the assumption that the Random Treasures Bob Backlund figure might be the worst figure ever created. I mean, this is just horrendous. This is so poorly made. And, someone that comes across my channel and sees these videos think, well, this guy absolutely hates Random Treasures and is ripping on them constantly. I'm like, you guys got to realize, I still consider myself to be a Random Treasures fan. But there are a lot of things about the company that I just don't agree with, and charging the prices they do for a figure like this is ridiculous. There's certain folks, I read reviews and whatnot, and they are just so in love with it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Now, I talk about when I buy from Random Treasures on Etsy, I've never left them a negative review. I don't do that. I don't like leaving negative review and hurting people's business and whatnot. But this was not, by any, even when I first picked this up, this by no stretch of the imagination was a good figure. I mean, I was glad to add it as a new character, a new figure, but I mean, I could have gotten this anywhere from anybody. Anyone could have put a Bob Backlund head on a body of my choosing, and I could have had a much more pristine figure. B. Brian Blair, like I said, for the Killer Bees, that fighting pose works on that figure. It doesn't mesh so well with Bob Backlund. Extra thin, horrible rubber. I mean, a very plain, simple blue colored figure. There are just no positives. I've said that Ivan Putski might be a 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10. This could be worse than Ivan Putski. And if I did put him above Putski, it would only be because of a better pose. Simply put. But again, the rubber is atrocious. I mean, like I said, I really didn't even have to talk about this figure because, one, you already know that Demolition is going to kill Bob Backlund in a heartbeat. Now, this figure, I said it before, was a LJN original that somebody customized, but because it has the same face paint that you would find on the design from Random Treasures, I keep it with Random Treasures exclusives. This right here is actually the face paint that I know best among Axe. So, like, when you look at the red face, I mean, that to me was, like, new for me. With the vest and the spikes and the look, name recognition. I absolutely love Demolition. They're like probably number 3 or number 4 among my all-time favorite tag teams. Powerhouse tag team to boot. The worst thing about Axe is the pose with the stupid handout. Like you're Jesse Ventura with his left hand out. That's it. You're not going to find a lot of issues with this figure. And was it Axe or was it Smash? I want to say it was Smash. Who became Repo Man? Yeah, it had to be Smash. I think Smash became Repo Man. This 80 guy, I don't know. I think was he injured or something, and that's why he kind of had to be replaced by Crush. So they brought in a third member of Crush because I don't think Axe could really do much in the ring anymore. And then obviously he was fully phased out, and Crush and Smash became a 2-man tag team. This has got to be like one of the easiest choices I've made in this tournament. Axe all day. Bob Backlund is garbage. There are not many figures that I tell people to stay away from. Bob Backlund is just a bad one. I don't know what they were thinking when they made it. If they have any plans on remaking that figure at all, because if they are still using that same type of rubber today for that figure, you're gonna lose so much business and get so much bad publicity because it's just a bad one. Yeah, I don't even know how to go any further on that one. So, this has the next matchup is both a mediocre and a good figure, and it features Rick Rude against Brother Love. We will start with Brother Love, who I classify as the what did I used to call him? Not a strawberry shortcake, but red velvet cake. That's what I used to call him. Because of the white frosting on the outside with the red velvet cake on the inside. That's what he always reminded me of. And you see like regular guys who operate out of their home without an actual business of their own, who made customizations of Brother Love, and they're adequate, but their face is as red as an apple. There is just enough pink to the face to make a very solid Brother Love character. And this one, I believe, was a Killer Bees Jim Brunzell figure that they used. So I like the pose, obviously. If I'm a kid and I got this, of course, just like the referee, I'm using this guy as a wrestler. No doubts about it. You use Lou Albano as a wrestler. You'll use Freddie Blassie as a wrestler. You will definitely use Brother Love as a wrestler. Good pose. Good overall look. This is exactly his outfit. Maybe because, his body is covered up, the skin is covered up with the design of the pants and jacket. That's why I said if they covered up that Bob Backlund, it may have been a much better figure. If this was like a wrestler and they put him in just trunks and boots or whatever, this figure could have been absolute trash. But it's hidden behind all of this design, and for me, not really noticing any of the other atrocities to the rubber or anything like that, it's going to help me think a lot more highly of this figure. And I've always said that the Brother Love figure, probably a top 5 LJN from Ram Treasures. I absolutely love this figure. Absolutely incredible. They did this one really well. And he squares off against Rick Rude. I was so incredibly, I don't want to say displeased when I saw this figure. So the Ultimate Warrior, I've said before, Volume 2, was a figure I didn't think needed to be made. And I bought it, but I didn't oh my god, they got a new figure, buy. No. I waited a little bit before I bought it. The next figure was Rick Rude. I bought it. Did I say, oh my god, they got a new figure, buy? No. I didn't even wait a day. I waited 2, 3, 4 days. I don't know how long it was, but some time had to pass before I purchased it. And again, if I'm not mistaken, I think this was a 80s Revolution giveaway contest action figure. You buy the figure and your name gets entered in competition to win a free custom XOX Customs figure. And I think that may have been the reason I jumped at it at that time. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have even bought that figure. I get it. Rick Rude from the original LJN line was not a playable figure, even though I really like the pants design. I think that looks sharp. But this right here, giving him this Galoob Tom Zank fighting pose was bad. It was a bad choice. The head and hair, the hair looks really solid. The face looks okay. The face looks good. There were a lot of things to really like about the scheme of the pants and whatnot, but I kind of feel like if you were gonna remake Rick Rude because you feel like the original Rick Rude was such trash, why this? This was so poorly done. I was expecting the world. It's like, man, you're expecting the world and they give you Antarctica or something. You know, not even Antarctica. Give you some tiny island that fits the size of a house. Is that a good analogy? I don't know. But the point is that this is average to below average. Not a good figure. To me, I think that Brother Love has to be a shoo-in to win this matchup. Quality over figure. They could have done this so much better. And I was really disappointed. Yeah, I'm not a lot to talk about this one either. Sorry, guys. I want to add more commentary, but just looking at a couple of these figures, I've just so frustrated. But now I get to add some figures that I love. So this is a battle of the Galoobs. From Series 1 US release, we get the blue pants variant of Sting as he squares off against Sid Vicious. Now, Sting. I never had Sting as a kid. The first time I ever saw this figure was, again, during my Galoob collecting time frame. Is it a good figure? Either the Galoob original 4-inch or the LJN 2-up. It's an average, adequate figure. It's not great. I'm never a fan of these figures with the hands up like this. Oddly enough, the Brian Pillman with Bengal hands and his hands out like this, it's basically the same pose except his hands are open, right? I love the Brian Pillman figure, but the Sting is like so-and-so to me. Still, Sting is a beloved WCW character. To me, the face of the franchise for a long period of time. And this is the Sting I will always remember. Once you get into the white face Crow Sting or the red face Wolfpack Sting, that's not for me. The Sting of early 90s, maybe late 80s, whatever he joined WCW, the Surfer Sting, I guess. This is the guy that I covet. This is a fantastic piece. Obviously, because it's rubber and the hands move and open up and whatnot a little bit, that makes it a better figure than your Galoob original figures because obviously they're non-movable figures. Sid Vicious. Sid Vicious Galoob was a figure I had as a kid, and it was probably the most go-to figure ever. When I think about wrestling figures I had as a kid, or it didn't have to be wrestling figures, it could have been just random characters I found around the house that we used as wrestlers. Sid Vicious from Galoob was definitely high in that list. Bret Hart Series 4 Hasbro. Undertaker Series 4 Hasbro. That Panthro from Thundercats. He was a top played with character. Harry from Harry and the Hendersons, that rubber figure. That was a very playable figure. Those are probably some of the most used figures. So it wasn't always Galoob or Hasbro getting the most play. But I know that this figure had been the most, or at least my most enjoyable figure ever. And to this day, I still classify the Sid Vicious Galoob figure as being my all-time favorite figure. So Galoob was always my default number 2 line. Because Galoob and Hasbro were all that we had. But once I got into collecting, a couple years ago, and started acquiring all of these lines, suddenly Galoob fell from number 2 to like number 6 or something. And even though I covet the Hasbros like crazy, and the LJNs have just like moved so far up that list and could have potentially removed Hasbro altogether. But because of nostalgia and actually having Hasbro, I think that those figures will always remain number one in my heart. Even though the Galoob has fallen so far down, I still consider the Galoob Sid Vicious to be my all-time favorite figure. Now, just because the Galoob Sid Vicious is my all-time favorite, or doesn't necessarily mean he's going to win my all-time favorite LJN tournament or my all-time favorite Ram Treasures tournament, right? But here's a good point to make when it comes to this particular figure. With the last my favorite LJN tournament, when I incorporated all of my figures, rubber figures, resin figures, customs, originals, my second tournament was the one that I had where I had finally had Sid Vicious part of that, and he made it all the way to the finals as a member of the last three standing. So a very deep run, and you see the figures behind me, okay? Just imagine him being the last three with going through all of those. In the My Favorite Tag Team tournament, I coupled him with Barry Windham. I coupled this figure with the LJN 2-Up, and I coupled the two Galoob originals together, and I think the Galoob originals made it further than the 2-Ups did. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they were in the finals or semifinals. I think they may have been finals. So I feel like every time Sid Vicious goes into a tournament, he's in the final match. But he just hasn't been lucky enough to win. So even though I've coveted this figure for so long, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to give him top seed every single time, regardless of what we're discussing. And to me, these are two great looking figures, absolutely. But I think that very few figures, and yes, there are a few, that have the opportunity to defeat Sid Vicious. And Sting, I would have loved to have seen this one go another round or two, but going up in this matchup, just no real chance. Sid Vicious moves on to round two. All right. The fourth matchup is going to feature Mascus as he does battle against Dino Bravo. Mascus, I've already said, up until I saw him on like the Etsy page, I never knew who Mascus was. I never heard that name before. And my buddy Eric, he made a resin figure of this exact figure. I think he had a different paint scheme though. And I kind of learned a little bit about Mascus then. Of course, I got the Mascus Remco Custom. I had to do some research about him as well to kind of talk about that figure. So figures like Mascus and Ron Bass, etc. Who's the other one that's famous in WCW? Stan Hansen, I think another one was that when I was doing the Remco tournament, I had to do research on those guys, right? But I don't remember any information, any stuff I learned about it, or very little detail was retained. Mascus, when they did a paint job on this figure, they did fantastic work. They really did. The mask of this figure is done so well. So it looks like he's got these little high top. I don't know if this is necessarily underwear over his tights or anything like that. I think this is kind of blending in where your pants, where the top part looks like underwear, but it's actually just the top of your pants. I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't know what these designs are, but there's no curvature. They're done pretty straight. Pretty solid. A good-looking aesthetic figure, but that is it. Mascus, at the end of the day, when I look at this, all I see is the Iron Sheik. The Iron Sheik on eBay is a $3 figure. If you get one, now I know right after he died, I sold a Iron Sheik on my eBay for like $20, but still, purchase price. Let's say you buy a good one, you get it for $10, shipping and handling taxes. Okay, you're spending $20. Okay, got it. $130 with discount to purchase this figure. It makes absolutely no sense. It is an Iron Sheik figure. One of the worst fighting poses imaginable. If you're going to make Mascus, fun. Great for you. I didn't know of him. That doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt the value that I don't know a character. What hurts the value is that a bad figure is a bad figure. If you put this on like Sid Vicious or a body or something, this could have been a 10 out of 10 for me. But it's an Iron Sheik figure. It's an unplayable figure. No enjoyment whatsoever. The rubber... The arms look so small and weak. The chest feels a lot stronger and sturdier. So I like the chest a little bit better. But the arms... they're so small and weak, and I don't like that. Mascus, this is... I don't want to say it's extremely poorly done, but it is, again, definitely one of those figures that are at near the very bottom of Random Treasure figures. I cannot possibly imagine Mascus making it multiple rounds in this tournament. And if it was like in the next matchup where it's a 3-man matchup and 2 of them moving forward, that could have been a good opportunity for him to advance to round 2. But other than that, not a good figure. Dino Bravo. I have a hard time enjoying this figure. Now, realistically, I know, not I think, but I know, that this is one of the better figures from Random Treasures. But just kind of looking at it, there's just something about the figure that really irks me that I just can't really love or appreciate the figure as much as I probably should. Now, maybe over time, it'll grow on me and I'll feel differently. But right now, kind of talking about it, there's just not much there. The face, yeah, again, he looks like Dino Bravo. The faces of these figures, they always seem very cartoony, and I don't really like that. The little wristbands and knee pads, the design on the shoes and boots, they do look like quality figures. What I'm really liking about this figure is the very sturdy, stomach and chest, and even the arms feel really solid, nice and tight. So that is a huge, huge, huge benefit for this figure. And something like that will take me from not feeling very good about it to feeling exceptionally good about it. So, yeah, and because of the arms up, he's just another Haku figure to me. That's what I think about. The play poses always kind of takes me back to different figures. If this was... I'll use Sid Vicious because we just did Sid Vicious. If this was a Sid Vicious figure where the arms were up, but they were like spread apart, this could be a 10 out of 10. But I can't give it that high because his hands are up higher and they're in closer like a Haku. And I can't stand a Haku figure. When it comes to either a Mascus or a Dino Bravo, I mean, come on, there's not even a question. Of course, Dino Bravo is going to sweep the floor with Mascus. Does he make it past round 2? I don't know. Does he have a shot of making it into round 3, round 4? Absolutely. But do I think he'll go the distance? Semifinals, finals. I guess we'll have to wait and see. He could be standing in the finals, but what do I say? It's more to do with the luck of the draw and who the character is facing. So, this tournament will only tell me who my favorite figure is. It won't tell me who my number 2 favorite is, or my number 3 favorite, number 4 favorite, etc. But Dino Bravo is going to defeat Mascus. And this will take us to our number 5, to our 5th and final match. A good thing about this match is I get to keep 2 figures, so it really alleviates the frustration in trying to choose the best figure out of this. We will start with Macho Man. Love it or hate it, I don't know what to think about this. At the end of the day, when I first saw this figure, and until the day I die, every time I see this figure, all I see is Ron Simmons. I absolutely despise that they put Macho Man in a Ron Simmons pose. Did Macho Man ever do this pose? I don't freaking know, but I don't remember that. This pose doesn't make any sense to me. They did really well with incorporating white laces into the boots. I like that Series 1 Hasbro with the orange trunks and stars. So that's incredible. And even the skin is sufficient. I mean, not super super dark or anything like that, but I mean, it's adequate, right? It's a serviceable color scheme. I'm not going to clown on the color scheme for this particular figure. Not with so many other problems with the figure. But you throw them in this commemorative look, right? The Series 5 Hulk Hogan from LJN, I get it. They were white shirt and red shirt. They were commemorative pieces. They did not have the playability of a Series 1 Hulk Hogan. Therefore, they are not better figures. But they're later figures. They're commemorative pieces. Of course, they're going to be far more valuable than the original Series 1, which is in bulk. You know, anyone could pick up a Series 1 Hogan anywhere. Coming out with your own commemorative series, okay, cool. If you were going to do this and charge someone $130+ for this, I would have loved if they took this figure and kind of created their own LJN blue card backing. Put in a card, put in a bubble, seal that up. This figure could have potentially been so much better. I kind of told her the same thing when I saw her shirtless Hulk Hogan figure. You know, put this figure inside of a card and bubble, it might be actually valuable in my eyes. But seeing it loose like this is horrendous. This is not a good figure by any stretch of the imagination. I've seen a Kerry Von Erich in this exact pose. And maybe it was Kevin Pelkey's page. I don't know, man. Why do they do this to anybody? It makes no sense. Can I fathom pushing Macho Man into the next round? I really don't want to. It's a bad figure. One of my least favorite, possibly the worst figure. If not the worst, probably in the top 3, top 4 worst Ram Treasure figures. Because I get to choose 2 figures to stay back. I mean, he could potentially move forward, but there's just no way, based on who won other matches, that he'll make it out of round 2. And then Tully Blanchard. So Tully Blanchard is another really bad figure. This is a figure I purchased because of New 80s Revolution's tournament. You buy the figure, you get entered into a tournament to win to potentially get a free custom from Ram Treasures. And I always say, man, shoot, you know that the chances of you winning are very slim. But you want that opportunity because eventually you know that you're probably going to have to buy the figure anyways. And if you win, you know what? That's one figure less you have to pay for. So I went for it. But it is a terrible, terrible, terrible figure. I have very little positives about this. The biggest positive I could tell you about Tully Blanchard is that they put him in a Ric Flair Galoob fighting pose. Arms down, spread apart, legs separated. This is 100% a Ric Flair figure. Cut off the head, put on a different head mold, you got a different character. So, the Ric Flair fighting pose is probably the best thing about this figure. I do like the Brain Buster? Was he the Brain Buster alongside Arn Anderson? Or is that someone else? All these names and titles and stuff kind of like bleed in and confuse the heck out of me, but I believe Tully Blanchard was one of the Brain Busters. And I didn't get this color scheme for the Arn Anderson. I should have. I messed that one up by getting the all black and gray stock photo. So, but I do like the color scheme of the boots. Black trunks, TB, got it. Okay, nothing flashy. Head mold, again, nothing really flashy. It looks like a generic character to me. One of the most hated aspects of the figure is the pathetic attempt to create hair with figures like Mike Sharp, with Tully Blanchard, and with Razor Ramon. When you have your little charcoal, you go to the store, you put your little charcoal, and you get your little lighter fluid, you get your hamburgers and whatnot. Take the piece of charcoal, rub your finger on it. Rub your finger on the chest, and bam. you have hair. That's exactly what I think they're doing. Or I don't know if I was thinking it or if I said it in one of my past videos. Get yourself a number 2 pencil. Get a paper, a number 2 pencil. Kind of scrape that lead onto the paper. Dot your finger into the lead and rub it on his chest. You could get this same exact look that you get from this. It's a grease stain. It's terrible. Why some people think that is like the greatest thing that's ever been constructed, I don't understand it. Tully Blanchard, to me, it's another poor quality figure. One of the absolute worst from Random Treasures. I don't like the figure at all. It has its positives, it has its negatives, but a below average figure definitely. So we'll do the first. Well, no, I don't want to do that just yet. Yeah, we'll wait. The last figure from Random Treasures that I have is from Legion of Doom, Animal. And even though I think the way that they do their tag teams by overpricing is ridiculous, I at least like the fact that they give Hawk and Animal 2 unique body types, and they didn't just, mirror the figures. So, where Hawk has like that really nice, strong muscle tone in the back, Animal not so much. And, but, the muscles, when he does his little pose and everything, is really popping. And they put like a little decal Tasmanian Devil on his arm. And, the face paint is immaculate. A little ponytail. I mean, take away the Ken Patera pose. This is a perfect figure. Put him in a Hulk Hogan Series 1 fighting pose. This is a 10 out of 10. This is a 20 out of 10 figure. Okay, absolutely. I keep saying that Legion of Doom is the bread and butter, cream of the crop of the Ram Treasure exclusives. And if this was done a little bit better, yeah, it would be the most perfect figure possible. Absolute awesome design throughout. If you throw on the little chest protectors, the little spike protectors as well, as like an added, accessory, that would have been incredible. To me, I think that's an absolute no-brainer. Animal is definitely your first selection to move on to round 2. And if I was to eliminate 2 instead of keeping 2, I would be okay sending both of these figures home in after one round. And in fact, let me look at the numbers here. Alright, so 4, 8, 12, 16. Yeah, if I choose one winner, it'll put me at 21 victors. So I have to choose 2 winners just to have an even number next time around. So, Animal, 100%, he's moving on to round 2. That's not even a question. So it boils down to which one do I like better, Tully Blanchard or Macho Man. Macho Man, one of the greatest wrestlers of my life. Huge Macho Man fan. Tully Blanchard has a better pose and maybe a little bit better design as far as the knee pads and boots. But that chest hair is absolutely horrific. If I appreciate this as simply a commemorative piece that's not really used or expected for play, but even that, you really can't use that as an excuse, man. I will never use that as an excuse for an action figure. I'm putting Macho Man down. I know all you guys that are Macho Man fans would love to see him move forward, but does it really make a difference? I don't see this figure going any further than round 2. So, does Tully Blanchard have a better opportunity advancing to round 3 than Macho Man? Based on play pose, yeah. If he met the right competition, he could move on to round 3. But I don't think there's anyone left that Macho Man with this play pose could defeat. So, Tully Blanchard and Animal move on to round 2, whereas Macho Man is gone for the competition. I want to yell at Ram Treasures for this so much. But that's it for the first round, guys. Round 1 consisted of 5 videos. And that was 21 matches altogether. So, kind of break it down by half each time. I don't think this is going to go no 5 or 6 rounds. I think it's probably going to top out about 3 or 4 rounds, with like the third round being like the semifinals, fourth being the finals, maybe. Or maybe 4 and 5 is the semifinals, finals. I don't know. But this is not going to take long at all. I've made 5 videos in 2 days, so I'm glad, because I plan on posting videos day after day, and hopefully at the time I'll be posting this video, I'm keeping that promise. So yeah, I'll easily get this tournament done in about a week and a half. Posted, made and posted in about a week and a half time frame. So. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching as always, and again, if you guys have comments, recommendations of videos you want to see, please let me know. I will definitely make anything that I'm capable of making. There are still some recommendations that have been made to me that I currently cannot make because I don't have complete collections or whatnot, but trust me, your recommendations are noted, and as soon as I can get a proper video made for those videos, they'll be made. Alright, thank you everyone, and I will talk to you in the next video. See you guys.